You see, one of the biggest traps people fall into is the endless web of distractions that pull them away from what truly matters. It's subtle, insidious even, because it doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow erosion of focus, a gradual shift of your attention from your own development to the noise that surrounds you. And before you know it, years have passed, and you've spent more time watching others live their lives than actually building your own. That is a tragedy. People today are addicted to external validation, constantly seeking approval, chasing likes, and crafting an image for an audience that doesn't even care. And it's worse than just a waste of time. It's a surrender of personal power. Because every moment you spend worrying about what others think, you're giving away control over your own mind. The reality is this: most people are too caught up in their own struggles to care about your life. So why do you let their opinions dictate your direction? Comparison is another thief that robs you of clarity. You see someone else's highlight reel, their success, their perfectly curated life, and you start feeling inadequate. But here's the problem. What you see is an illusion. You have no idea what battles they've fought, what pain they've endured, or what sacrifices they've made. And even if they have achieved something remarkable, what does that have to do with you? Their success doesn't take anything away from you. But if you let yourself become consumed by jealousy, resentment, or self-doubt, you cripple your own ability to move forward. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. And then there's the constant influx of meaningless information, news, gossip, entertainment that serves no higher purpose. Every day people wake up and willingly drown themselves in the chaos of the world, letting negativity and outrage dictate their mood. But let me ask you, what do you gain from filling your mind with things that do nothing but drain your energy? Do you really need to know the latest scandal? Does engaging in pointless debates with strangers online make you a better person? No. It makes you reactive, bitter, and exhausted. You cannot afford to carry the weight of things that have no relevance to your personal growth. What you focus on determines the quality of your life. If you focus on distractions, on the trivial, on the opinions of people who add no value to your existence, then you will remain stagnant. But if you take back control, if you become fiercely intentional about where your attention goes, then you begin to see change. You begin to feel clarity. You begin to realize that half the things you worried about were never worth your time in the first place. This isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about deciding what deserves your attention. It's about filtering out the noise so you can hear your own voice again. And that's something many people have lost, the ability to listen to themselves, to trust their own instincts, to carve out a path that aligns with their deepest convictions. When you strip away distractions, what remains is you, your mind, your purpose, your potential. At some point, you have to come to terms with a difficult but liberating truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to walk into your life and hand you the discipline, the motivation, or the strength you need to succeed. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you take back control of your own destiny. Because the alternative, waiting, hoping, expecting someone else to fix your problems, is a path that leads only to frustration, resentment, and weakness. Too many people go through life blaming their circumstances, their upbringing, the people who wronged them. And look, I'm not dismissing hardship. Life can be brutal. People suffer in ways that are unimaginable. Some are born into environments that crush them before they even have a chance to rise. But here's the question. What are you going to do about it? Because as unfair as life may be, the responsibility to rise still falls on you. You can sit there consumed by bitterness, or you can get up and do something about it. The problem with blaming external forces for your situation is that it leaves you powerless. If you believe your failures are someone else's fault, then what are you left with? A story about how you were wronged, a justification for why you never achieved what you were capable of? That is not a path you want to take, because the moment you place responsibility outside of yourself, you give up control over your own future. And once you do that, life doesn't get better, it gets worse. Responsibility is the burden that shapes you into something greater. It is the thing that forces you to grow, to mature, to become competent. And competence is what separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. If you're struggling, if you feel lost, start with the smallest step. Accept that your life is your own. No more excuses, no more blaming, no more waiting for the perfect conditions. You take what you have, however little it may be, and you begin the work of building yourself into something formidable. This isn't an easy process. Responsibility is heavy. That's why most people avoid it. They don't want to be the ones to fix their bad habits, to repair their broken relationships, to face the truth about their own weaknesses. It's easier to point outward, to find a villain, to construct a narrative where they are the victim. And maybe for a while that story feels good. Maybe it even gets you sympathy. But sympathy doesn't change your life. Action does. Ownership does. And here's the paradox. The more responsibility you take, the stronger you become. The more you embrace the fact that your problems are yours to solve, the more capable you become of solving them. And then something remarkable happens. You start to respect yourself. You start to see yourself as someone who can endure difficulty, who can overcome, who can shape the world around them instead of being shaped by it. That's how confidence is built. That's how resilience is forged. People talk about wanting to change their lives, but they hesitate when they realize what that actually requires. It means admitting that the reason they aren't where they want to be is because of the choices they've made. That's painful, but it's also necessary, because if your past decisions got you here, then better decisions can take you somewhere else. And that means you aren't trapped, you aren't doomed, you aren't a prisoner of fate. You have power, but only if you're willing to claim it. No one is coming to save you, but you don't need them to. You are capable of saving yourself. You are capable of taking what life has given you, whether it's fair or not, and using it to build something extraordinary. And once you truly accept that, once you stop looking for excuses and start looking for solutions, your life will begin to change in ways you never imagined. Discipline is the foundation of strength. It is the thing that separates those who succeed from those who merely dream of success, and yet it is also the thing that most people avoid, because discipline requires sacrifice. It demands that you act in accordance with your highest potential rather than your fleeting desires. It asks you to delay gratification, to do the difficult thing even when you don't feel like it. And that is hard, that is painful, but it is also the only way forward. People have this illusion that they need to feel motivated before they take action. They sit around waiting for inspiration, for the perfect moment, for some wave of enthusiasm to push them into motion, and that's precisely why they stay stuck. Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. You can't build a life on something so unstable. What you need is discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. There's a reason why so many struggle with self-control. The world today is designed to weaken you. Everywhere you look, there's an easier path being sold to you. The instant gratification of social media, the endless entertainment that keeps you sedated, the comfort of indulging in bad habits instead of confronting your weaknesses. And it's tempting because it's easy. But ease does not lead to strength. Every time you give in to distraction, every time you let your emotions dictate your actions, you become weaker. And weakness over time turns into suffering. You might think that indulging in your impulses is freedom, but there is no freedom in being ruled by your cravings. There is no freedom in being a slave to procrastination, to addiction, to the inability to control yourself. Real freedom comes from mastery over your own mind. It comes from knowing that you are in control, that you can trust yourself to do what is necessary, that you are not at the mercy of every impulse that crosses your mind. That kind of freedom is rare, but it is worth everything. Discipline isn't just about working hard, it's about structuring your life in a way that supports your highest goals. If you don't create rules for yourself, if you don't impose order on your own existence, then chaos will do it for you. And chaos does not produce growth, it produces regret. People who fail to master themselves always end up bitter, looking back on years wasted, wondering why they never achieved what they were capable of. That is a tragedy, and it is entirely avoidable. The first step towards self-discipline is recognizing that your emotions are not in charge. Your feelings will lie to you. They will tell you that it's okay to skip the workout, that you deserve the extra hours of sleep, that you can always start tomorrow. And if you listen to that voice long enough, you wake up one day with nothing to show for your life. Instead, you need to cultivate the ability to act despite resistance, to say, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. That is the mindset that changes everything. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are formed through repetition, through discipline, through showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not. You don't need to be extreme, you just need to be consistent. A small action repeated consistently will always outperform bursts of motivation followed by long periods of inaction. And once you start proving to yourself that you can follow through, something shifts. You start to trust yourself. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through, who does the hard things, who keeps moving forward regardless of how difficult it gets. That is power. Most people never reach their full potential, not because they lack talent, but because they lack self-control. They are at war with themselves, constantly negotiating, constantly making excuses, constantly giving in to weakness. But that war can end. It ends the moment you decide to stop being controlled by your impulses. It ends when you choose discipline over comfort, self-respect over indulgence, long-term success over short-term pleasure. It ends when you take control of your own destiny. And when you do, everything changes. Your mind is the battlefield where your future is won or lost. Everything you do, everything you accomplish or fail to accomplish starts with the way you think. And yet most people go through life without ever questioning the beliefs they hold about themselves. They accept limitations that were placed on them by society, by their upbringing, by their past mistakes, and they let those beliefs dictate what they can and cannot achieve. That is a tragic way to live. Because the truth is you are capable of far more than you realize, but only if you are willing to break free from the mindset that keeps you small. The problem is that most people think of the mind as something static. They assume that who they are today is who they will always be, that their intelligence, their abilities, their potential are fixed. And that belief alone is enough to sabotage them before they even begin. Because if you believe that you can't change, then you won't even try. If you believe that failure is a reflection of your worth, then every setback will feel like proof that you were never meant to succeed in the first place. That kind of thinking is poison. It keeps people trapped in cycles of mediocrity, waiting for external circumstances to change, instead of realizing that the real transformation has to happen internally. Your mind adapts to whatever you feed it. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that life is unfair and you are powerless to change it, then your actions will reflect those beliefs. You will hesitate. You will shrink away from challenges. You will sabotage opportunities before they even have a chance to grow. But if you train your mind to see obstacles as challenges, to view failure as a lesson rather than a verdict, then you begin to shift. You begin to see growth where others see defeat. And that shift is everything. Because here's the reality. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you go through life expecting failure, you will find it. If you go through life expecting opportunities, you will find those too. This isn't some abstract self-help cliche. This is how the brain works. When you believe something strongly enough, your brain starts looking for evidence to support that belief. And over time, those beliefs become your reality. That is why it is so crucial to guard your mind, to be ruthless about what you allow to take root there. Because whatever you accept as truth will define the course of your life. Most people never challenge their own thoughts. They assume that just because they feel something, it must be true, but your feelings are not facts. Your emotions are temporary reactions influenced by a lifetime of conditioning, by fear, by insecurity. And if you let them run your life, you will never become who you are meant to be. Growth requires that you take control of your own narrative, that you question the thoughts that hold you back, that you ask yourself, is this belief serving me or is it keeping me stuck? And if it's the latter, you must be willing to let it go. Changing the way you think is not easy. It takes effort. It takes consistency. It takes an unshakable commitment to rewiring your mind for success. But the alternative, remaining trapped in the same patterns, repeating the same mistakes, watching your potential slip away, is far worse. You have to make a choice. Will you allow yourself to stay small, to be defined by fear, by past failures, by the limitations imposed upon you, or will you rise above all of it and take control of your own evolution? Because the truth is, you are not a finished product. You are a work in progress, constantly capable of growth, of change, of becoming something greater than you ever imagined. But that transformation begins in your mind, And once you commit to that, once you refuse to accept anything less than your highest potential, you will start to see the world change around you. Not because the world itself is different, but because you are. There's no substitute for hard work. No shortcut, no secret formula, no magical trick that will get you where you want to be without putting in the effort. And yet, people spend their lives searching for an easier way. They chase quick results, instant gratification, the illusion of success without the sacrifice. But the harsh truth is this: if you want to achieve something meaningful, if you want to build a life of purpose, you have to be willing to put in the work. Not once, not occasionally, but every single day, relentlessly. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack the willingness to do what is necessary. They want success, but they don't want the grind that comes with it. They want results, but they don't want to endure the discomfort of discipline. And so they do just enough to feel like they're making progress, but never enough to truly break through. And when they don't see the results they expect, they quit. They tell themselves they aren't capable, that it wasn't meant for them, that the system is rigged. But the truth is, they never really committed in the first place. A relentless work ethic is not about working yourself to exhaustion. It's about showing up every day and doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's about understanding that effort compounds over time, that consistency beats intensity, that the small, disciplined actions you take daily will determine where you end up years from now. And yet, people underestimate the power of this. They expect overnight success, and when it doesn't come, they assume they've failed. But success is never instantaneous. It's built brick by brick in the moments when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when there's no immediate reward. That's where most people give up. They want to see results now. They want to know that their effort is paying off. And when they don't see it right away, they lose motivation. But motivation is irrelevant. It is unreliable, fleeting. What matters is discipline, the ability to work toward something even when the payoff isn't immediate, even when it's exhausting and difficult and frustrating, because that is the test. That is the moment that separates those who make it from those who don't. You see this in every field. The best athletes, the greatest minds, the most successful individuals. None of them got there by accident. They worked when others rested. They pushed forward when others hesitated. They endured discomfort, failure, rejection, and instead of retreating, they used it as fuel. And that's the difference. Most people fear the struggle. They avoid the pain of growth. But those who succeed embrace it. They understand that nothing worthwhile comes easily, and they're willing to do what others won't. The reality is you are in competition against yourself, against your weaknesses, against your own tendency to settle for less than you're capable of. And if you want to win, if you want to rise above mediocrity, then you have to cultivate a mindset of relentless effort. You have to stop looking for an easy way out and start putting in the work, not just once, but over and over again until it becomes second nature. Because that is what will set you apart. That is what will make you unstoppable. Most people think they're working hard, but if they were honest with themselves, they'd realize they're only working as hard as they feel like working. And that is not enough. Real effort begins when you push past your limits, when you go beyond what is comfortable, when you do more than what is expected. That's when progress happens. That's when you start to transform not just your results, but yourself. Because at the end of the day, your work ethic is a reflection of your character. It's a measure of what you're willing to endure to achieve what you say you want. And if you truly want to succeed, if you truly want to become the best version of yourself, then you must develop an unshakable commitment to doing whatever it takes. No excuses. No shortcuts, no waiting for the perfect moment, just relentless, disciplined effort day after day until the work itself becomes part of who you are. And when that happens, there is nothing that can stop you. When you focus solely on yourself, on becoming stronger, more disciplined, more capable, something incredible starts to happen. The world begins to respond, not immediately, not in some dramatic overnight transformation, but gradually, in ways that are undeniable. The right people start appearing in your life. The right opportunities begin to unfold. And it's not because the universe has suddenly decided to favor you, but because you have changed. You have become someone worthy of those opportunities, someone who commands respect, someone who is ready to step into a greater role. Most people don't understand this. They go through life waiting for external validation, hoping that someone will notice their potential and hand them a chance. But that's not how it works. The world does not reward potential, it rewards demonstrated competence. You don't get what you want, you get what you earn. And the only way to earn more is to become more. Look at the way people treat you right now. That is a direct reflection of what you project into the world. If people dismiss you, if they overlook you, if they don't take you seriously, it's not because they're cruel or unfair, it's because you haven't yet shown them that you're worth their time. And that's not a criticism, that's an opportunity, because it means that the power to change how the world responds to you is in your hand. The moment you start taking your life seriously, the moment you commit to excellence in everything you do, people notice. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. They recognize the shift, and they respond differently. They start to respect you. They start to seek your advice, to look to you as someone worth listening to. And that respect opens doors that were previously closed. It's the same with opportunities. Most people sit around waiting for their big break, hoping that someone will recognize their worth and offer them a chance. But that's not how success works. Opportunity doesn't come knocking. You have to build the house, open the door, and invite it in. When you dedicate yourself to your craft, when you show up every day and do the work without needing applause, the right doors begin to open. Not because of luck, but because you have made yourself valuable. And value attracts opportunity. This is why transformation is so powerful. Because when you elevate yourself, everything around you elevates with you. The weak relationships that were built on insecurity or complacency begin to fade. The distractions that once seemed so important lose their grip on you. And in their place, new connections form, new possibilities emerge. You begin to attract people who are on the same path, who share your values, who push you to become even better. And when you surround yourself with those kinds of people, your growth accelerates. But none of this happens if you remain the same. You can't expect the world to treat you differently if you haven't changed. You can't expect better relationships, better opportunities, or better outcomes if you're still operating at the same level. The world mirrors back what you put into it. If you project weakness, uncertainty, or laziness, that's what you'll get in return. But if you project strength, confidence, and an unshakable work ethic, the world will respond in kind. And here's the key. You can't fake this. You can't just walk into a room and pretend to be competent or disciplined or worthy of respect. People will see right through it. This transformation has to be real. It has to be earned. You have to do the work when no one is watching, when there's no reward, when it feels like nothing is changing, because that's how you become someone truly formidable. That's how you build a presence that people recognize before you even say a word. One day, you'll look back and realize that the world treats you completely differently than it used to. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And when that moment comes, you'll understand what it really means to take control of your life. At the core of it all, the power to transform your life has always been in your hands. The distractions, the excuses, the limitations, they were never insurmountable. They were merely obstacles waiting for you to rise above them. When you eliminate external distractions, you reclaim your focus. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to change your circumstances. When you master discipline and self-control, you become someone who follows through, regardless of how you feel. When you shift your mindset for growth, you stop seeing failure as an endpoint and start using it as a stepping stone. When you develop a relentless work ethic, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And when you commit to this path fully, the world around you changes. Not because it has suddenly become easier, but because you have become stronger. Most people will never do this. They will stay stuck, blaming circumstances, waiting for the right moment, hoping for something external to shift. But those who do take control, those who commit to this path, those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who create lives that others admire, not because they were given something special, but because they demanded more from themselves and refused to settle for less. And so the question is simple. Will you step up? Will you take responsibility for your own growth? Will you put in the work even when no one is watching? Will you be relentless in your pursuit of excellence? Because if you do, if you truly commit, then everything changes. Not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. And when you look back, you won't just see progress. You'll see a version of yourself that you never thought possible, standing tall, unshakable, and fully in control of the life you were always meant to build.